if it's too confused, if it gets confusing, which it does, because it took me a long time when I had somebody explain to me years ago, and then I gave up because just too much toluene over the years. This is an easy adhesive to use. It's almost like a tricycle.
Ring of the Year Award.
Max Bond. The number one thing in our business, of course, is bonding. It doesn't matter how good the rubber or the leather wears. If it falls off the shoe, it's no good. Oh, I'm Jim McFarland, by the way, if I haven't introduced myself. And I'm a shoe repair shop owner near Tampa, Florida. I'm a CPED, been a CPED for a few years now. I also work for Petronio and the Renia Adhesive Company, as well as a JR representative for the United States. I have received my training over the last few years in the chemistry lab in Cologne, Germany. I thought I knew a lot of things. I've been in this business my whole life, but I didn't really even begin to learn bonding until I went and had this great experience. I've been there many times, and every time I go, I learn more. All your adhesive companies, a lot of the old adhesives, and I also work for Petronio, which makes a lot of great products, and they've been around a long time. The difference with the Renia Adhesive Company is I believe it's the only ones in the world in the shoe industry that have dedicated chemists that work full time on all these crazy shoe materials that are coming out, constantly coming out with new materials. When we had the old neoprene adhesives, we had only rubber and EVA crepe. We only had those, so it worked great. There was no problems. But then in the 80s and 90s, here comes thermoplastic and polyurethane and all these new materials. Now everything is coming apart. It's not sticking. We can't figure it out. Then we're using, a lot of super glue, which is a good way to fix a lot of things. Now, one thing I always say, this isn't the way to fix something. It's a way. It's my favorite way. It's the easiest way that I have found. Everybody has their way of doing things, and we used to use a lot of super glue to get through these materials that we didn't know how to bond. And then when we received the knowledge of this, then we were able to do it a little different and save a lot of money in the super glue. Because we make super glue, and we could make a lot more money selling our super glue. But one of the most popular materials coming in our stores today is polyurethane. What is polyurethane? It's a comfort sole. It's on most of your comfort shoes. SAS, Soft Spots, Atrex. It's all polyurethane. Why polyurethane? The abrasion's better than EVA. EVA's crepe. And it's comfortable. It's shock absorbent. If you're standing on your feet all day, now it's going to help a long 10-hour day. You're going to have more comfort because the sole's absorbing the shock instead of your body. The only problem is how to bond to this. Now, one method we used to do in our store, we put super glue on it and do it, but you always get a little cracking in there. It's one way to do it, but it don't always peel off. It got a little expensive. One way we bond, and I did this at an orthopedic show. I'll pass this around. You can see I just did a little lateral flare on this, just do a demonstration in the class. This is all polyurethane. But when you're doing a polyurethane sole, replacing it, say you're replacing the sole, and you sand it down level, we use a primer called PUR. It's in a green can. And what you do is you pour this into a separate little container. And you don't want to take a brush and dip it in and out of the can because it contaminates it and it goes bad faster. Now this will turn white after a while and crystallize. It lasts longer in the cans than it does in the bottles. I don't think we're bringing the little bottles in anymore, actually. But in my store, when it has turned white, there's liquid, I have had no problems with it. It still works fine for me. I pour into a separate container. I take a brush. I use a wool dauber most of the time, but you can take a brush. And after you sand the sole down, dip it in the solution, paint it across the whole bottom of the sole. And then immediately apply either Coldy Cologne, Ortec, Max Bond, Master Multi-Purpose. These are all adhesives that are engineered by Renia to work on the polyurethane. Okay? Yes.
What do you find works better, the Ortec or the other?
It depends. Coldy Cologne, Max Bond are engineered more for shoe repair. Ortec's engineered more for the orthopedic market. I'll try to get into that a little later, but they all three work great on a polyurethane sole. So if you're going to do a build-up, or you're going to do a just a resole, you're going to put like Zephyr crepe on, or some kind of a Vibram crepe or whatever. You're going to grind it down. You're going to put the PUR primer on there, and then you're going to put the adhesive on there right away. Don't let it dry. I've talked to a lot of guys in the past, and they'd say, well, the primer don't work, and I always give them a trick question. How long you let it dry? 5, 10 minutes? No, you can put it on right away. It's like a red light. Green means go, in case you ever forget. It's green, a green label, so put the glue on right away. Now, another way, here, let's go over this too. Say you're doing a build-up, you're going to split this sole. All right? Some use a bandsaw, some use a knife. And we're going to cut that. And say we're going to put a 1/2 inch build-up on that sole. So I'm going to, what I cut off, I'm going to take and I'm going to set aside. Let's pretend this is what I cut off, and I set it aside. And I sand it. Now, I'm going to put the green primer on, and I'm going to put the glue on right away. And I'm going to put a piece of cloud crepe or EVA, whatever, for the build-up. I want to put the adhesive on that. Now, we don't need to prime that EVA, okay? Only prime it if it's polyurethane. Now, Vibram has a new thing out, Memphis Rocker soles. I don't know if anybody's seen the Memphis Rocker sole. That's made out of polyurethane. That would get pretty primer if you're putting that on. It's polyurethane. Don't want to lose anybody. Hope I'm not going too fast. So if it's EVA, no primer. All right. Then you let it dry normal. Once you put the primer on here, adhesive, then adhesive on the build-up. Let them dry 15 minutes, whatever normal drying time is. Sometimes 10 minutes. Depends on your air. If it's dry or humid or. So anyway. Now we're gonna sit that on there. Some people use a convection oven, warm it up, put it on, whatever. You press the sole on. Okay. Now we have the original sole that we cut off. Anybody want to take a stab at it? That's going to go now on the EVA buildup. So anybody want to say how we're going to attach that?
Green primer.
Green primer where?
On the PUR.
On the piece we cut off. Do we need to put primer on the build-up?
No.
Right.
Sometimes you start sanding it and it gets all tar, like tar.
Yes.
And also it burns your hand if you don't watch
Yes.
it. And also it messes the sandpaper up.
Yes,
It ruins a lot of
it
sandpaper.
does. A lot of these are, Echo shoes are real popular for that. Echo shoes have a mixture of PVC.
No, it's
mixed in,
thermoplastic rubber.
thermoplastic rubber, okay, in the polyurethane, and it does mess up the sandpaper.
Yeah.
You know, cut off as much as you can with a knife, and then use the sandpaper to level out as much as you can. Not a lot you can do about it if it's melting. Now, if it's crumbling apart, and we get them in our stores every day, if it's crumbling apart and it looks like sand falling on the counter,
Right.
forget it, it's no good. Don't even bother trying. It's going to be like putting a piece of tape in the sand.
I got a question. What causes that?
Age. Age. It has a lifespan, and it depends on the density.
2 years.
Um,
Around about 2 years.
2 years. I've seen some last longer, but I've seen, yeah,
And Jim, it also depends on the humidity.
yeah.
Humidity works against any PU. And please explain what happens when the PU shoe is wet.
Yes, we'll do that. By the way, Heinz is the head chemist and president of the Renia Company. In case you're wondering, who's this guy in the back? In case you're wondering, who's this guy in the back that knows more than the guy that's talking? That's
You make good stuff.
Thank you.
the polyurethane. If you get one, he took the toluene out of most of it. Sorry, guys.